Dear students, I am Rajiv Kumar, Assistant Professor in the Department of Electrical Engineering in Asansol Engineering College. Hope you all are doing well with your health and studies during this pandemic and lockdown period. So without wasting much time, let us quickly start the topic. Dear students, in last class we learned how to draw the phasor diagram for different kinds of loads like inductive load, capacitive load. Okay, we have already learned how to draw the phasor diagram for resistive load also. Okay, so in the earlier classes we have drawn those phasor diagrams not for the practical transformer but for the ideal transformer having certain losses, and that is core loss actually. Okay, but now today we will try to understand the phasor diagram for the practical transformer, which will include both leakage reactances or leakage flux as well as the different losses in the transformer. Okay, so today we will cover how to draw the phasor diagram for practical transformer, how the second thing is how we can transfer parameters from one side to another side. Okay, and the third very important topic is we will learn how to draw the equivalent circuit of a transformer step by step. Okay, so let us start. First we should understand what is that leakage flux. Okay, so let us try to understand this. So see, this is the core, right? So the moment the supply is given, current starts flowing and due to this flux is generated. Now all the fluxes are not linking with the both primary and secondary. Some fluxes are being linked to self coil only in both primary as well as secondary, as you can see, right? So see, this flux is not linking to this winding, and this flux shown by green ink, this flux is not linked to this one, right? And the common flux is this one, that is phi, which is shown with the red ink. So that is the common flux which is linking to both the windings. So that is why these fluxes are known as leakage flux. Okay, these are called leakage flux. Okay, here this is also that leakage flux. So these leakage flux have some effect on the performance of the transformer, right? So what are that effect? The effect is like suppose as these fluxes are responsible to induce some EMF in both the windings, right? So similarly these fluxes will also induce some voltage in this in these both the windings, right? So primary flux, say this flux, leakage flux, we call it as phi L1, suppose, right? So leakage flux for primary winding, and here this flux is phi L2, right? So phi L2, phi L1 and phi L2 both will induce some EMF in both these windings. Hope you are getting. Okay, so this phi L1 will induce some EMF, that is EL1, suppose, right? And phi L2 will induce EL2, right? So EL2 will be induced in secondary winding, EL1 will be induced in primary winding. right? And these two induced EMFs are due to the leakage flux. Okay, now see, as in the earlier case, the induced voltages due to this main flux were opposing the main voltage, main supply voltage. Similarly, this EL1 will oppose this V1 and this EL2 will also oppose this E2. Okay, so how we can represent this leakage flux? How we can represent this leakage flux in the equivalent circuit, right, or in the circuit, right? So to represent this, we actually introduce a inductor, right? That inductor will be equivalent to this in leakage flux. Okay, that will be represented by this. So we will introduce a inductor in the equivalent circuit diagram for transformer. Okay, okay, now you see this transformer. Okay, this equivalent circuit represents this R1, right, R1 as the primary winding resistance, and this X1 is introduced for the leakage reactance. So here X1 and in secondary X2, right? So these two are the inductors which are being introduced for the leakage flux, okay, which is actually happens in practical transformers. Okay, and this is the R1 primary winding resistance and R2 is the secondary winding resistance, because any conductor has some certain resistances. So this is the practical case, right? Now see what will happen. We have supply voltage V1, right? Induced EMFs are E1 and E2, as we know, E1 and E2, right? And at this end terminal we will get V2 voltage. Okay, so all these parameters will be represented in the phasor diagram. Now see one by one. Okay, so before drawing the phasor diagram, we must understand that if the circuit is resistive, this voltage as well as current, they are in same phase, right? And for inductive circuit, what happens? If the voltage is this one, current should lag by 90 degree. Okay, this we should understand first. Okay, so in this circuit you can see that there will be two drops there. This is one drop, this drop is I1 R1, right? And across this inductor there will be another drop. Okay, there will be another drop, that is I1 X1 drop. Similarly, in secondary winding there will be drop across resistance as well as inductance, right? So across resistance it will be I2 R2, and across this X2 it I2 X2, somewhere you write I2 X2. Fine. So these drops should be mentioned in the phasor diagram. Okay, so let us see, try to understand what are the steps. This is the flux, we have drawn this flux as a reference diagram. After that you need to draw E1 and E2. So here in this direction somewhere there is E1, right? You should understand this, as we know that we have already drawn, there is E1. Okay, and this you can see that this is E2. Okay, fine. And then we will draw I0. Okay, fine. After that we will draw this I2. Okay, I2 will lag. Okay, I2 will lag because this is we are drawing for inductive load. Okay, this phasor diagram we are drawing for inductive load. So obviously it will lag behind both this V2 as well as, suppose here we are connecting a inductor actually. Clear? So I2 will lag behind the V2 also as well as E2, and this V2 will also lag behind this E2 voltage, yes, E2 voltage, exactly. Okay, so you can see that E2 is here, V2 is lagging by certain angle. Okay, V2 is lagging by certain angle, this is V2, clear? So now I2 should also lag V2 by certain angle, that is called phi 2. So we have drawn this I2. Okay, fine. Now you see, if I2 is here, where should be that I2 dash? Okay, I2 dash. So obviously I2 dash will be exactly opposite to this I2. So it will be somewhere here. Okay, so this is what I2 dash. You can see this I2 dash and this I2 dash. Okay, they are parallel, right? So in this diagram here I2 dash has been shown, no problem, no issue. Okay, now if you will find the resultant of this I2 dash, as we know that I1 is the summation of I2 dash and I0. So you add it, you will get this I1. You can see here it is written I1. Okay, so I am just removing this one to see this I1. Okay, now I1 is clear. Okay, what we need to do is, in case of primary side equation is, what is the equation for primary side? Let us see. Okay, wait. Primary side equation is V1, okay, should be equal to I1 R1 drop, okay, plus I1 X1 drop plus this E1 is opposing, so it should be actually minus E1, you can say. So this is the equation. So this equation should be represented in the phasor diagram. So suppose E1 is here, so what should I do to get minus E1? I will just reverse it. So here I am getting this minus E1. Okay, fine. Now from minus E1 I will add this I1 R1 first. So where should be I1 R1? This is the question. So since I1 R1 is the voltage across this resistance, so this I1 R1 voltage drop should be in phase with I1. Hope you are getting. Since it's a resistive, right? So the voltage across this resistance should be in phase with the current flowing through this. Okay, so this is the concept. So it should be in phase with the I1. So see here, from here I1 R1, okay, we are drawing it in the direction of I1. The direction of I1 is what? This one. See here, in this direction. Okay, so in this direction we are drawing this one. This I1 R1 is also in this direction. Clear? So the direction is important. Hope you are getting my point. Okay, now so to E1 we have added this I1 R1. Now we will add this I1 X1 drop, I1 X1. So how to draw this I1 X1? Now see, similarly in case of inductor, okay, the voltage across this inductance V which is equal to I1, here V is equal to actually I1 X1. So this is the voltage and current is flowing through this one. So as I told you that the current flowing through this inductor should lag 90° behind the voltage across this inductor. Okay, so that means we can say that the voltage across the inductor will lead the current, okay, by 90 degree. Either way we can say. So see, that is why this I1 x1 has been drawn just perpendicular to this one, because the direction of current is what, this one, okay. So the voltage should be in this direction, voltage should be in this direction, so that, so this is the voltage and this one is the current, so that you can see that this I is actually lagging behind 90 degree. So that is why this I1 x1 has been drawn in this manner, okay, fine. Now you see, so after adding this minus E1, okay, wait, after adding this minus E1, I1 R1, I1 x1, we will, if we add all these, we will actually get V1. So this is the V1, okay, hope you understood, fine. So this V1 we can draw like this. So this was about the primary side. Now we should draw similarly this this E1, we should get this E1, okay. So first we will write this equation, no, sorry, we will first get this E2, right, E2. So the secondary equation will be what, E2 should be equal to what, E2 should be equal to V2 plus I2 R2 plus I2 x2, okay. So this will be followed in secondary side. How we can do this, okay. So see here, so E2 we should get actually, right, by adding these values. So first we have this V2. So to this V2 you try to add this I2 R2, okay. So how can you add this I2 R2? So I2 R2 should be in phase with I2. So the direction of I2 is what, this one, this is the direction of, so the direction of I2 is what, this is the direction of I2, as we can see from here, right, this has been shown. So in this direction actually I2 R2 drop, this is the I2 R2 drop, right, here we are showing this drop is I2 R2 actually, okay. Now to I2 R2 we will add this I2 x2 drop. So I2 x2 drop should be in it should lead the current by 90 degree. So that is why we are drawing this I2 x2 drop. You can see this I2 x2. So if you add this I2 x2 I2 R2 drop, okay, to this V2, means all these if you add you will get this E2, okay. So this is how we draw the phasor diagram for practical transformer, and this phasor diagram is for inductive load, okay. We can draw the phasor diagram for capacitive load as well as resistive load, okay. So take an assignment for this, that please draw the phasor diagram for R load and L load separately, okay. This is your assignment. You are supposed to try this by your own for better understanding. If you are facing any problem, I will certainly help you, right. So actually it is better to draw on the board itself, right. Since I am writing this on a mobile phone, the screen is too short, I am not able to write everything clearly, okay. So try to understand my problem also. So you try to understand these things from the notes already given, okay. Hope you are understanding. Okay, fine, let us proceed. Okay, now we will proceed to find the equivalent circuit of single phase transformer, okay. So to find that equivalent circuit we need to learn a very important concept, right. The concept is to transfer these parameters from one side to another side, right? This is called primary referred to secondary, and there is another thing, that is to transfer these parameters to primary side, right? This is called secondary referred to primary. So this is called primary referred to secondary, primary to secondary, and this is secondary referred to primary, right? So we will learn these concepts, how we transfer. Okay, so this is required just to eliminate this core, because in equivalent circuit you will not find any core, right? So just to reflect or to refer these parameters from one side to another side, we need to learn this concept. Okay, so let us start this, how we can do this, right? So suppose first we will learn to transfer primary parameters to the secondary. So suppose I want to transfer this R1 from primary to secondary. Okay, from primary to secondary. So say this is let us assume that the if I transfer this from primary to secondary, the resistance value is say R1 dash, suppose this is R1 dash. Fine. Now how will you decide what will be the value of this resistance if we transfer it to secondary, right? So it depends on this K. Let us see how. Okay, so the concept is, how much current is flowing in the primary side? I1 current is flowing. How much current is flowing in the secondary side? I2, right? So based on the concept of copper loss, we will decide, right? So means the copper loss, whatever is the copper loss in primary, right, when it was R1, right, the same copper loss should be in the secondary side when it will be transferred. Okay, so this is the idea, right? So copper loss should be same. Okay, so the value will be decided in such a way that the copper loss in either in primary or in secondary for that particular parameter will be same. So here I have assumed that this R1 has been transferred to secondary, and the secondary value is how much? The second, in that case, secondary value of R1 is R1 dash actually, right? Here, how much current is flowing? Since it has been transferred to secondary, how much current is flowing? This I2 current is flowing, right? So what is the copper loss here in R1? The copper loss will be I1 square R1. What is the copper loss in here in secondary side? In secondary side, what is the copper loss? It will be I2 square R2, I2 square R1 dash. So from this equation we can easily find R1 dash, okay, will be equal to how much? It will be equal to I1 by I2 whole square into R1. Okay, what is this I1 by I2? This I1 by I2 is K, that is transformation ratio. Okay, right? So or turns ratio. So this will be K. So we can write K square R1. Okay, so what we have to do, that R1, to find this R1 dash, that is the primary referred to secondary value of resistance, we need to multiply it with this K square to that value, that R1. Okay, so it will be transferred. In the same way, we can transfer the inductance also. Okay, so how we can transfer that inductance? The loss or the power should be same. So if we transfer it, we will again get the formula that x1 dash will be equal to k square into x1. Okay, so these are the formula for primary referred to secondary side. Okay, so we will see later on how. Now if we need to transfer these things, suppose if we need to transfer these things into from secondary side to primary, means this side need to be transferred to primary side. So how can we do? So let us say that R2 is being transferred to primary side. So to transfer this, let us assume that the value in primary side, it becomes, suppose R2 dash, right? Suppose this here the resistance becomes R2 dash in the primary. Clear? So what is the current flowing in this primary side? It is always I1. What is the current flowing in the secondary side? It is I2. So now from the same concept, what will be the copper loss in the primary side, right? It will be I1 square R2 dash. Okay, and what will be the copper loss in the secondary side? It will be I2 square R2, right? In secondary side this resistance is available, so these should be equal. Okay, from this equation we can easily find this R2 dash. Okay, we can easily find this R2 dash, which will be equal to how much? It will be equal to I2 by I1 square into R2, which is equal to, this is what, 1 by k, right? So I2 by I1 is 1 by k, so we can write that it is equal to R2 by k square. Okay, so this is how we can transfer these things, right? So to transfer any quantity from secondary to primary, we need to divide it by k square. Okay, by k square. So similarly we can say that if I transfer this x2, okay, so x2 dash will be equal to x2 by k square. Okay, so this is the formula. Fine. Now in a more clear way, that this is the formula for referred to primary. So all the parameters, now it has been referred to primary side. See, no parameter is there in the secondary side. Okay, nothing. So everything has been transferred. So R1 is already existing here, right? X1 is also existing here in the primary side. Okay, these R2 and X2 has been transferred. So the moment you are transferring from secondary side to primary side, what we are doing, we are dividing it by k square, right? In both these things you can see here. So R2 by k square, which is becoming R2 dash, and X2 dash, that is X2 by k square, right? So now these two resistances we can add, these two inductances we can add. So see here, the total primary winding resistance, the total resistance of transformer will be how much? R1 plus R2 dash. Okay, which is equal to R1 plus R2 by k square, right? This is called R01. If you are transferring everything to the primary side, it will be R01 for resistance, right? Similarly for inductance value, x01. Okay, so x01 will be equal to x1 plus x2 dash, and which is equal to x1 plus x2 by k square. Now if you add these these two resistance, one resistance and inductance, you will get this impedance value, that Z01 is equal to R01 square plus X01 square. Hope you are understanding, right? So similarly, we will see the parameters which is being, all the parameters which is being referred to the secondary side. Okay, let us see this one referred to secondary. Okay, see, nothing is there in the primary side, so it has been transferred to secondary. So here R2 will already exist, R2 and X2 in secondary side. So this R1 and X1 has been transferred. So this is what R1 dash, which is multiplied by K square. So K square R1 will give R1 dash and K square X1 will give X1 dash, right? So in similar pattern, we can now, here the total transferred resistance will be how much? R02. We will denote it by R02, and total inductance will be X02. So see here, R02 is equal to R2 plus R1 dash, which is equal to R2 plus K square R1, and X02 will be equal to X2 plus X1 dash, which is equal to X2 plus X square K square X1. Okay, so this is the total entire impedance. Fine. Okay, so this is how we can refer. Now a question might be coming in your mind, that why we are transferring these things. Okay, so the simple answer is that to find the equivalent circuit, in equivalent circuit only R, L, C, voltage source, these things are there. Okay, in any electrical equivalent circuit, there is no core available in the equivalent circuit. Okay, so to remove this core, we are actually pushing this core to either this side, okay, or this side, right, just to move that core. Okay, this is our objective. Fine, so that we can remove this core and we will get a final equivalent circuit. So our objective is to find that equivalent circuit. Okay, so let us proceed for that also. Clear? Hope you will understand this, right, while deriving the or while finding the equivalent circuit. That equivalent circuit is very important from exam point of view also. Okay, because in exam it is often asked that find the equivalent circuit of transformer. So you have to follow these steps. What steps I am telling you? This step you need not to show in that in finding that equivalent circuit. Okay, because this is a tool, right? So this formula you can directly use there. Okay, I told you how it is coming. That is important. You should know this also, right? In many books you will find that it has been directly written that if you transfer it, you have to multiply it by K square. Okay, or if you transfer from secondary to primary, you have to divide it by K square. This is, but the concept behind the multiplying this K square or dividing has been explained right now. Okay, still if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Okay, you are free to ask anytime. Okay, so let us proceed to find the equivalent circuit of transformer. Okay, now let us see how to find the equivalent circuit of a transformer. Okay, so this one is the circuit for transformer, initial circuit. So let us first identify the each components for better understanding. These things you know. This is primary winding resistance, primary winding leakage reactance. This is secondary winding resistance, secondary winding leakage reactance. Okay, this one is source. This is the load connected, which may be inductive, capacitive or resistive. Okay, this portion is ideal transformer, right? So the concept you know, that if you add these values to the ideal transformer, you will actually get a practical transformer. Okay, this portion is showing the core loss. This particular is showing the core loss component. Okay, and this is what magnetizing component. We know from the phasor diagram itself that these two components are 90 degree to each other, so we can show it by a inductor coil in the equivalent circuit. Okay, so here you can say that this from phasor diagram you know that I mu is in phase with phi, IW is in this phase which is 90 degree, right? This is in phase with V1 actually, right? So this you know, and the value is this component for I naught, okay, that we know. So that is why this component has been shown. So this I naught has two component, one is working component, another is magnetizing component, right? And magnetizing component is 90 degree lagging behind this working component. This is the idea how why we are showing this one. Clear? Now let us proceed. Now see what steps we will follow, right, to find the equivalent circuit. First of all, we will try to remove this one, right? So we will first shift it here, right, from this position to this position, actually next step. Okay, then we can neglect it because this I naught value is very low. Okay, so we will see. Now next step is to remove this core also. So how we can remove this core? To remove this core, we will actually transfer these values from secondary side to primary side. Okay, and we have learned earlier that how we can transfer. We will transfer this also to the primary side, right? So to transfer these values, we need to divide all these individually by k square, that we have learned already. Clear? So in next step, just okay, now you see in this diagram you can find that this portion has been shifted from this position, right? It was initially at this position, now it has been shifted to this one, right? This shifting is possible just because this I naught current is very low. It is 1 to 2% of the full load current. Okay, so that is why it is possible. Fine. Remaining portion is same as it is. Now in next step we will try to shift these, right, these parameters to the primary side so that we can remove this core. Okay, so that we can remove this core. So let us see. So see here, this should be closed circuit, right? See, now this R2 dash, X2 dash, that is R2 and X2 has been shifted, right? So R2 dash is equal to R2 by K square. Here X2 dash is equal to X2 by K square. Okay, this load impedance has also been shifted, right? So see, ZL dash is equal to ZL by K square. Fine, and the core has been removed. Clear? Now this resistance and this, they two can be added together to get R01 in the next step, and this X1 and X2 can be added to get X01. Okay, and this will remain separate. Fine. Now in the next step, since I naught is very low current, so to get an approximate equivalent circuit for transformer, we can ignore this circuit, right? We can just ignore this. So let us see. So see here, we have removed that portion here, right? And we are left with this R1 X1 R2 dash X2 dash as it is. Fine. So this is the equivalent, or you can say approximate equivalent circuit of a loaded transformer. Okay, the no load current I naught in a transformer is only 1 to 3% of the rated primary current and may be neglected without any serious error. The transformer can then be shown as in figure below. Okay, this is an approximate representation because no load current has been neglected. Note that all the circuit elements have been shown external so that the transformer is an ideal one. this is ideal. Okay, so this is how we find the equivalent circuit for a transformer step by step. In your exam, such question may be asked to find the equivalent circuit of transformer, so you have to proceed in this manner to get the result. Okay, so hope you understood. If you are still facing any problem, you can contact me. Okay, okay, thank you students for today. Thank you.